Things are different. Things are different than they used to be, aren't they? I remember quite vividly what it was like when I was a kid going to church every Sunday. We never missed. Wanted to, never allowed to. And you look around today in churches, and it's not the way it used to be. We are in changing times, and the times are not changing slowly. The times are changing more quickly than any of us could ever have guessed. And it's obvious that the digital world has affected the church as much as anything, but just changes in general in society. When I came to Canada in 1978, do you remember that the stores were closed on Sunday? Stores were closed on Monday. Only one night a week. The banks used to close at 3 o'clock. My day off was Monday. There was nothing open. Things have changed. Times have changed. Some things have changed for the better, some things for the worse. When you look up here and see how many kids in Sunday school this morning, 3 kids. Okay? Is it because our families aren't as committed as they used to be? Any kid who's involved in sports, particularly hockey, but soccer and basketball and any other sport, Sunday mornings are no longer sacred. Most of the teams practice, and the kids are torn. They have to be at practice, and it's affecting the church. It's affecting all of us in many different ways. How do we move forward? What is the church going to look like in 20 years? In the last week, this is something that I've been thinking about day and night as we prepare for the annual meeting and we try to look forward. And it is really hard. Some people have the gift to look forward. I have a bit of that gift, but I don't think any of us can see what the church is going to be like in 10 years, or in 20 years, or in 30 years. But it will be different. Things that worked years ago don't work anymore. And if you think you can still do those things that worked 50 or 80 years ago, it's not going to happen. The way we do things, the way we worship has changed. It's obvious. Here in St. Mark's, we do things very differently. If you go to another Lutheran church, you're going to be lost, okay? Because they do things differently than we do here. Times are different. We are in changing times. How does the church respond? We try to do that. I think we're going to have to plan for the future in a more direct way than we ever have before. But the church will survive. One of the large United Churches in South Regina closed, and they sold their building just in the last couple of months. I don't see this happening. We are not experiencing some of the same things that other churches are experiencing, but we have been affected by the changing times. Will the church rise up? I believe it will, but it probably looked different than what it did when you were a child. And we have to be able to be flexible and open-minded and move in a different kind of way. The old theology doesn't work anymore. There was not a Sunday when I was a kid that the devil or hell was not mentioned. Okay? It scared the hell out of me. I was a frightened kid. I went to church and Sunday school every Sunday. I went to a Lutheran school where we had chapel and we had religion every day. And I was a scared kid, scared of this angry, judging God who couldn't wait to pick up something that I've done wrong and punish me. That doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore, and most of us see theology different than we did when we were children. So do we throw the Bible out? Do we throw our traditions out? Do we throw our songs out that have been in our hearts for so long? Or do we just try to find our way through all of this change? That's what we have to do. In the Old Testament today, in Malachi, it talked about the refiner's fire and about God being the refiner. And anybody who's refining metal, you use fire in order to refine it, gold or silver or whatever. And maybe that's what's happening to the church. Maybe there's some things that have been happening in the church for a couple of thousand years that do need to change. And I believe that. I believe that. And maybe we are going through some suffering and difficulties and problems that we need to go through. And like a refiner's fire, something is going to lie ahead that will be even better than what it is today. We have that refiner's fire in our own life too. The struggles that each of us have, the illnesses that we face, the death in our family, the broken relationships in our lives. All of these things are refiner's fire. And it can destroy us, it can make us weaker, these issues and problems, or it can make us stronger. And I believe that many of the issues that we face in our life are given to us as gifts. Given to us as gifts by God so that we will become stronger. You don't become stronger in your faith when everything goes the way you want it to go. When you never have any suffering or problem. When your kids never go through any issues or problems. Nothing gets stronger. Your faith does not become more real and intense. It's through the difficulties, the pain, the suffering. It's when things do not go our way. It's when we pray and pray and pray and things don't go the way we want them to. That's where our faith grows. That's where we become closer to God. And I believe that's what's going to happen in the church too. There'll be suffering. There has been suffering. There's been changes in the church. But I believe we're going to come through these changes. We will be strong. Our faith will be strong. Our congregation will be strong.